welcome back. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Griha. Julius Robert Oppenheimer, the American physicist who built the most destructive weapon known to mankind, then advocated against nuclear weapons and was punished for it. If you thought that's pretty much the story of the father of atomic bomb, well, there's more to it, if we say the least. The aspect that we particularly want to cater to this evening is Oppenheimer's belief in the philosophy of the Bhagwad Gita. This primarily is also the answer to how the so-called father of the atomic bomb became one of the most vocal advocates for nuclear non-proliferation. I say that because Robert Oppenheimer always had doubts about, quote-unquote, bestowing humanity the possible means for its own annihilation. After witnessing the Trinity test in the July of 1945, when the first atomic bomb was tested, his reservations were amplified many-folds. It is also learnt that he sought the meaning of his actions in the Gita. And today, Oppenheimer's I am become death quote has become inextricably tied to the nuclear age, offering, as many would suggest, an apt description to the terrifying destructive potential of nuclear weapons. Now, according to the Time magazine, Oppenheimer also read the Gita for his quote-unquote personal delight in the evenings and sometimes to entertain friends that had come over. A copy of the sacred text, bound in pink and held together by scotch tape, was placed in his Princeton study. Maybe this is the one aspect that has turned into a peculiar scene in the Nolan directorial, as Oppenheimer's sacred text reading sex scene that has ended up raising hackles in India. The scene has garnered divided opinion on social media, with some demanding its removal and others defending Nolan's artistic choices. Hashtags like boycott Oppenheimer and respect Hindu culture have been trending. So let's get to it and ask today if the Gita that Oppenheimer turned to as an anodyne for the pangs of his conscience, did Christopher Nolan really get too indulgent in saying how intrinsic was it to the man? And joining me on The Viewpoint this evening is Mr. Uday Mahurkar, who is the Information Commissioner with the Government of India and also author and founder of Safe Culture, Save India Foundation. Mr. Mahurkar, thank you so much for being a part of this important conversation. I'd like to first begin by understanding that you've written an open letter to the director of the film Oppenheimer, Mr. Christopher Nolan, on Twitter. Has there been any sort of response that he has garnered from the director himself?
There is no response from him so far, but I am hopeful. In fact, I have tweeted today, welcoming Minister Anurag Thakur's action, while at the same time saying that I expect equal promptness in action from the director Christopher Nolan.
Absolutely.
So we are hoping.
In fact, I was just going to get to that, that the Information Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur has in fact taken a very, very firm stance on that controversial scene that you have also put forth in that letter to Mr. Nolan. And he has demanded a full accountability from the Central Bureau of Film Certification for approving that content, and be ready for the exhibit onto the Indian theatres, the Indian exhibitors. How do you read that particular stance by the Union Minister, in fact taking the censor board to task?
It is I think it's a very prompt response because all this happened yesterday only. The whole controversy started maybe late night before yesterday, so to say. And he has acted with a lot of promptness. We should appreciate it. We have appreciated his action, And he's very correct in doing so because the censor board does hold responsibility for this.
Okay. Mr. Mahurkar, help us understand the grouse. on behalf of the people of the country who are in fact now, seeing red when it is about that particular scene, and the fact that you have now written to the director, what is it exactly that you want from the filmmaker, and also vis-a-vis that controversial scene?
You see, Oppenheimer was a scientist. He is the father of atom bomb. And it is recorded in his own words that he drew inspiration from Gita, Bhagwad Geeta.
Yes.
And when the blast took place, he was reminded of a verse from Bhagwad Gita, where Lord Krishna says something, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, while the intention of the film is not bad, because there is something, Bhagwad Gita is a unique book. It is associated with Hinduism, but I think it's a book of the world, It has the power, it has got the knowledge to sow a new vision to the entire world, So it has a special significance amongst all other books. So, a scientist of Western origin saying that he drew inspiration from Bhagavad Gita is a matter of pride for India and, India's, civilizational vision, But this scene, which is where he is shown to be having sex and reading a verse from the Bhagavad Gita being shown to him by his girlfriend, I think that is totally unwarranted. It is an insult to, I think, Bhagavad Gita and to our civilization for that matter, because there is no mention of it anywhere. There is no connection. It's only, there can be only two intentions. One is to put down our Hindu community and civilization values, or it is just to earn some money,
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mahurkar, why do you say that? I'd like to understand this.
And titillating.
I want to understand this very aspect that you have just presented, that this is a money-making exercise in the garb of having artistic license to do anything, even if it goes about hurting a religious sentiment of a particular community. But help us understand this and allow me to ask this. Have you seen the film, sir?
I have seen the footage.
Okay.
I have got it with me.
Okay. So the detractors who are giving a different argument, who are presenting a different aspect to this particular claim that has been made by a section of people from India, from the country, including yourself, sir, they also go on to say that it is not, the book is not even seen in that particular scene that we're talking about. It's just a page that he's reading out of while that sexual scene has been shot at. And that's why to actually go ahead and accuse the filmmaker for taking that artistic liberty to just go down, probably come down heavily upon the Hindu culture is not really justified. How would you respond to those claims, sir?
No, that is a totally lame argument, because the actor, Cillian Murphy, also said that he went through Gita, So it's all about Gita. That actress, his girlfriend, might not have spoken the word Gita, but it is understood, Because the hero himself has said that he went through Gita.
So that aspect has been established about Mr. Oppenheimer.
Lame.
That's you only mentioned at the beginning of the debate that it's a well-known aspect that he used to find solace by reading the Gita. In fact, it has been quoted in the Time magazine that he used to read out excerpts from Gita to his friends also on evenings that he used to have a gathering at his residence. So that's a well-known aspect. But when we claim that this particular scene has been just meant to, or probably put forth by Christopher Nolan to titillate the audience or just a money-making exercise, obviously there needs to be some backing to the claim, Mr. Mahurkar. That is the aspect that I also choose to understand, because a lot of Christopher Nolan loyalists are claiming otherwise, sir.
No. I think that is totally unwarranted. I think it is totally unjustifiable. The whole thing is about Gita. When the director has spoken about Gita and the connection of Gita with Oppenheimer, it has to be Gita only,
All right.
I mean, that is understood.
Okay. Mr. Mahurkar, one last question that I'd like to understand from you.
With Christopher Nolan, and those who want to defend him, hands down, it's good for them. But it is not justified.
Okay. Even as we're speaking, Mr. Mahurkar, we are getting to know that the film Barbie is doing better in numbers than Oppenheimer. So I believe the craze of Oppenheimer is sort of dying down, at least in the country. And this controversy is not really doing the film any good. But what are you expecting? Because I don't think that Christopher Nolan probably got the memo yet. But what are you expecting from the authorities here? In this case, Union Minister Anurag Thakur and also the CBFC.
No. Christopher Nolan might not have reacted to it, but he certainly not unaware about this because this has now appeared in all the major newspapers of Europe.
Yes.
It's in Verity magazine, it's in Daily Guardian, it's there in most of the newspapers, So I don't think he's unaware. But I am very eager to know as to how will he react.
Okay.
My gut feeling is that he might agree to our demand,
All right.
Because it hurts a very large section of people on the globe, for that matter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mahurkar, and
so
sharing your
Anurag
views.
Thakur is
yes. That was the Information Commissioner, Mr. Mahurkar, who had joined us on the broadcast and shared his views after writing that open letter to the filmmaker, Mr. Christopher Nolan, who's made the biopic on Oppenheimer. Let me open this up to my panel now. Mukesh Khanna is an actor who's joining me on the broadcast. Also joining me is film critic Mayank Shekhar. Mayank, I'll begin with you since you've seen the film. I've seen that review of yours where you call it the greatest biopic since Gandhi and also call it an apostle of non-violence. And to quote you further, fittingly, it's on the father of the atomic bomb who had nothing in common with the father of the nation. Besides, as it turned out, both of them were drawn to the Sanskrit text and also the Bhagwad Gita. What do you have to say about the controversy on the Gita then, Mayank?
Honestly speaking, this particular scene that we're referring to, and I've seen the film twice already, this particular scene that we're referring to it's a very life-affirming moment. And what's playing in the background is our lines that go to the effect of, I am very, and that is...
Mayank, there's some problem with the link. We'll re-establish that connection with you and we'll come to you because we're not able to hear you correctly. Let me actually go back to Mr. Mukesh Khanna. Mr. Khanna, first of all, the controversy around this entire scene, which makes a slight reference to the Bhagwad Gita, which has in fact ruffled sentiments here back home. Your views about the controversy first, sir.
This film has now stirred the whole, not only nation, but whole world. The film has become as if that is going to get the Oscar award also. It's a very well made film. It must have been very well made because it was made by a very, very well known director.
Yeah.
But here the point of contention is this, that we should understand however bigger or however well made film or anything of that sort does not diminish the blame on them that they have done something which is wrong. And Gita, they have used Gita. They have even discussed, I haven't seen the film. I shouldn't have any right to talk about it. I'm only reacting to what I've been hearing from even Mahurkar or even from all the reports I've been reading. If it is true, I'm against it. Because see, Gita is our astha. करोड़ों की आस्था है हमारी गीता और गीता का पाठ होता है पूरे वर्ल्ड में. The whole India has a Bhagavad Gita के part. Everybody knows what Gita is all about. The freedom of expression does not allow you to use that thing. Why it is only done with Hindu dharma? Can you do this with Muslim dharma? Can you do this with Christian dharma? Can you
Mr.
do
Khanna,
this with
I've
Sikh
had
dharma?
you on my broadcast a lot many times when it was about films which are totally concerning the Indian topography. This argument I'd still take, but here we're talking about an international film that has a global reckoning that's been made by Christopher Nolan. I don't think he has got the memo with the Hindu-Muslim exercise here in the country. But since you're making that point, let me actually bring Mayank back with us on the broadcast. He is back with us. Mayank, on the earlier point that you're making, I'll come back to you, Mr. Khanna. Mayank is back with us.
No. You are raising a wrong point.
All right, please complete your point.
You are saying it's an international film.
Okay. Please complete your point.
You are saying it is not between Hindu Muslims. Sorry, madam. It is not a point between Hindu Muslim. It is a point of only Hindu. And an international film can do it. No, it is not acceptable. That's what I want to say. Don't say it's because international film. They may not be knowing it. They have to know. If they don't know, then they should have used it for the Muslim also, Quran also, no? Why didn't use
That's
Quran?
exactly the point that I was making,
Okay,
sir, which
you
you
can
have
proceed.
actually justified what I was just saying. Mayank, you were making that earlier argument. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things here, right? One,
saying-
Khanna Sahab says that he has not seen the film. He himself says that then in that case, he shouldn't be talking about it, and which is true. I think he should see it first. The first thing that he'll realize when he sees this masterpiece of a movie that is genuinely drawing fans from across the world for a very good reason is that in that particular scene, there is a subtext to it. And that subtext has a context as well. Yes, it's an intimate moment. In that intimate moment, which is supposed to mean something which is life-affirming, this is between two people, that is Oppenheimer and his girlfriend at the time. What is playing in the background, the words that are playing from Gita are about destruction. And that is a subtext that needs to be understood by any film buff. And I think Khanna Sahab himself is a man of the movies. I think he'll understand it. Second, the reference here is that, why is it that we are talking about Gita? Because Gita has a lot of followers of this text across India. The fact is, Oppenheimer was equally a follower of Bhagwad Gita, and he's used it in a way of philosophy. There are fans of Gita across the world, whether or not they follow Hinduism, and so they're only following facts here. The fact that he was drawn to the text is rather well known. In fact, even Nazis were drawn to Bhagavad Gita, and that is also quite well known. So you can interpret the same text depending on how you like it. But the fact that he was.
Yes.
The fact that he was someone who followed Gita, someone who was learning Sanskrit is a well-known fact. So why should that not be shown in a movie? Third, I think there is an element of being prudish about it, which something Gita effectively is Lord Krishna, giving his worldview to Arjun in Mahabharata.
Correct.
Lord Krishna himself would have approved because he was not a prude himself. He's associated with Ras Leela. He's associated with gopis. I mean, he was not a prude. Why are his followers becoming prudes? It's something that I think anybody who sees it for its artistic merit will be able to see exactly what Nolan has done. The only thing that didn't make sense to me in the entire movie, and as I told you, I've seen it twice already, is this something that's only imposed in India and by India's health ministry, this massive smoking kills, where you're defiling a piece of art, in a massive IMAX city. I'm like, this is a movie on 270,000 people who died. I mean, maybe it should say humans kill as well, and humans kill each other. So I mean, I don't think this is the same movie that the whole world is watching, appreciating. I think we should participate in that.
Okay, so Mayank, on the earlier point that you made, we leave the smoking bit because that's part of another debate. Mr. Khanna, do you agree to this aspect that, considering Bhagavad Gita was an important turn of events for Mr. Oppenheimer after the first atomic bomb was tested, the Trinity test that it's called, it's well known, and people know about his association with the Bhagavad Gita, using that in context in that film which has been made by Mr. Nolan, just taking it out of context and only talking about a particular scene which is exclusive of the film cannot really be dealt with as people are making a controversy about it? Mr. Khanna?
See, it is not the Yes, I'm saying.
Yes.
It is not the use of Gita. I'm happy. An international film using Gita it makes us very happy. But here the question is not that whether we can use the text of Gita or not. It is the timing of the words being used where. You see, Gita can be recited anywhere in your house. You can recite whole day. You can say Om Namah Shivaya. You can say even Hare Krishna. Everything is being done. But when it is a private affair, it's okay. But when it is a public affair, then you cannot say that it is the artistic presentation. Mayank wants me to understand. I'm an artist, so I should understand artistic. No, I don't. I don't understand the use of a platform as big as a film to be used badly, differently. It can excite people, it can incite people. They must understand that the sex scene is not a place where you will recite Gita.
Okay.
talking about
Mr.
Mayank says
Khanna,
that Ras Leela
Mr.
Krishna
Khanna,
is related.
Yeah, come to that point, because,
yes.
when he makes the point that, Lord Krishna was not a prude himself, and if we are using that as a context, just for example, and Christopher Nolan has used the Bhagwad Geeta aspect of Oppenheimer, which was a very, very important part of his life. In fact, something that he is used as a pang of consciousness, that he is actually resorted to reading the Gita and then, narrating verses from out of it. And he's been known for it. So why should it not be in use? Because that is also the argument that all the people from the fraternity are also making, when it is about artistic license.
Krishna is not, you cannot say Krishna is related to Ras Leela. So you can show sex using Gita. No.
That is not what I'm saying.
It's a wrong belief for everybody that Krishna. Listen to me.
Decided to misinterpret everything, including that you have to misinterpret me also. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying he was not a prude himself. Yeah. And it's important to see.
But how can you say he was not a prude himself? How can you say Krishna was not? Say you are blaming. You are wrongly putting words by saying Krishna.
Are you saying
Krishna?
Are you saying Lord Krishna was a prude? Are you saying Lord Krishna was a prude? Are you saying Lord Krishna was a prude?
No, I'm saying why are you using this argument? Why are you using the argument? Well, just because Ras Leela is shown.
I'm not using the argument.
Let's refrain from one-to-one.
I'm trying to explain a context.
All right, let him make a point. Mayank. We've got the point that you are making, and I'll go and further understand from you that how much can be done in the name of artistic license, because this is one aspect that was so far being restricted to just Indian cinema. Now this has been projected into an international film, which has got so much of resonance here because people were waiting for this Christopher Nolan directorial, and now with this one scene, it has garnered that controversy. So do you think that argument can also be sufficed for an international film, considering there has been so much furor about a lot of other films that have come out of the Indian stable when it was about religious depictions to start with? Mayank.
Well, it's kind of clear that someone or the other decides to take offense to a point that it's become boring also, it's becoming a cliche in terms of always taking offense from a religious point of view. The point that Khanna made is like, why would they not do it to Quran? The fact is, Oppenheimer did not read the Quran, and so it will not fit into this. There are enough films like Passion of the Christ, but people went and watched it. So, I mean, to say that this is being done to denigrate Hindu religion, this is a film that is genuinely seeing Bhagwad Gita as a very important philosophical text, something that deeply impassioned Oppenheimer, one of the greatest scientists of his times, the father of the atomic bomb. This is also based on reality, things that he had himself written, things that he had himself said. Now, if you're going to use that for any kind of political advantage, I think it'll be unfair, because then you're not seeing art.
Do you think he could have done away with the sex scene just in order to avoid the controversy, or he did not even go there that this can be controversial at all? Because right now, right now, international press is also covering the controversy around the sex scene and the use of Bhagwad Gita couplets when it was about that.
Yes. So I really highly doubt it would have ever occurred to him, even in a remotest way, that this can cause any controversy, purely because you see it in the subtext that particular scene appears in. That subtext is about a moment of intimacy that is very life affirming, but what is being read from the text is about destruction. So that is what creates the two contrasts when Gita is being quoted, and it completely makes sense to someone who wants to see it artistically.
Okay. All right. I would like to thank both my panelists for joining me. Unfortunately, that's all the time that I have on the broadcast for this. As